The next day.
Welcome to another episode of Random Videos by Brandy. Thanks for clicking. As always, if you are new here, don't forget to subscribe and like my video, please. If you are a return subscriber, please subscribe and like my video, please. And thank you all for clicking. I appreciate all of your time, and I know it matters a lot who you spend your YouTube currency with. So thanks, you guys. I really do appreciate you all very much. And please comment below how you found my channel. Although I would like to tell you all, I am so glad that you found my channel, whether it be through the news feed or through something that you were looking up. Please like, subscribe, and turn on the bell icon so you can be notified every time I upload. And for those of y'all who just popped in by chance and were looking for something to watch, found me, looking for true crime or just what have you, congratulations, here you are. You have found Random Videos by Brandy, and I promise you will not be disappointed. That being said, I'd like to wish everyone a happy St. Patrick's Day. This is going to be my second video today, although this one probably won't make it out till tomorrow, I would say, because it's a pretty long case, and I'm not really sure if it's going to be a 2 or a 3-parter. So this being part 2, you may want to go back and watch part 1, then come back to this. None of them are really super long. I'm trying to not make them any longer than 30 minutes. So, anyways, there's no bullying, harassing, threatening, rude, lewd, or inappropriate conversation in the chat. Please don't make any threatening comments, or, just keep PG-13, you guys. Y'all know how to act. And like I said, thumbs up, like, sub to my videos, and thank you for being here. Everyone, we are going to talk about the tragic case of Garnet and Lacey Spears again tonight. So grab your snacks, grab your smokes if you partake, and grab something cold to drink because the tea is piping hot, folks. It's getting ready to get crazy up in here. Now, yesterday we discussed Lacey's childhood and what led up to Garnet being born. Now today we're going to discuss Garnet's birth and what led up to, well, we'll see how far we get. I don't want to tell you guys anything just in case we don't get that far today. But I will start by saying that Garnet Paul Thompson Spears was born December 3rd, 2008, to Lacey Spears and no father named on the birth certificate. Although Chris Hill knew, he was most certainly the father. I mean, it was his son, and he was adamant to prove that. Lacey had been adamant this was not the case, though, so she put down there was no father, and that was that. He was born at Decatur, Alabama General, and he was a healthy 6-pound, 14-ounce baby boy. He was alert. He seemed to be everything that, a baby boy could possibly be. And let me see here. At 2 days old, they were released from the hospital, like all moms with their newborns. And this is where things become a bit strange, because after only 2 short days after going home, Lacey was receiving all this attention and stuff at the hospital. Oh my God, Lacey had a baby, and people are going to see her, and she gets all the attention for having a baby. And as you all know, Lacey loves attention. She has since she was a young girl. And she gets home, but only 2 days into being home. I guess maybe the attention died down, or maybe the social media buzz wasn't quite what she wanted it to be. However, she decided that she was going to take little Garnet back to the hospital. She said that Garnet had been tugging at his ears. He was just having all kinds of little issues. He had a high fever. She thought he was jaundiced. Just basically anything you could think of that could be wrong with a newborn, she kind of thought it was wrong. And also, she was holding food down, like maybe acid reflux. So she takes him back to the hospital. And I was thinking also at this point, what 4-day-old baby has good enough coordination to pull at their ears? When a baby's hurting, if they could show us where they're hurting, us mamas wouldn't have to worry about where our babies are hurting and have to figure out, we could just, oh, okay, he's tugging at his ears, his ear hurts. Anyway, so she took him to the hospital. Everything seemed to be a-okay. They checked out both mother and son with clean bill of health and sent them on their way. So the hospital chalked that one up to a paranoid first-time mom, and they just, looked at it as that and figured, Lacey would be alright, that she'd figure it out sooner or later, and that once she figured it out, her and the baby would be just fine. So Lacey went on home, and after she went home, she decided that since she didn't get anything from the hospital visit and they said nothing was wrong, this was the perfect opportunity to take hundreds of photos of Garnet and John John. So she flooded her social media with pictures of Garnet and John John. Now, if you haven't seen part 1, as you know, she claims that John John is Garnet's brother on one of these accounts. So she's putting pictures of her boys on one account, and on the other account, she's posting pictures of Garnet, only. So she got on there and she just went completely crazy for social media, and she got all the sympathy and attention that she could possibly want after talking about being at the hospital all night with the baby and all these terrible things. The hospital was just not taking them seriously, and she knows something's wrong with her baby, what have you. So, moving forward, still in mid-January, she is back to the hospital once again, upset over Garnet with his ears, his vomiting, and the whole 9 yards again. And they look him over, and they can't find anything. So they're like, okay, something's going on here. Like, the doctor literally mentioned, actually, she put down on there that Lacey was visually upset when they said nothing was wrong with him. So I just thought that was interesting, that because there was nothing wrong with Garnet, she was physically upset. Most mothers would be relieved for, the doctor or the ER to say, oh, your baby's fine, it's okay. But she was not having it. She was heated that they weren't listening to her. So by January of 2009, early January 2009, she was in and out of the ER and doctor's office, saying he had been unable to eat or keep food down. He was bleeding from the ears, having ear infections left and right. But this, again, was something where there were tubes put in the ears, and it was a quick fix. She posted it all on social media, and bada boom, bada bing, it was done and over with like that. So, by this time, you know, some time's gone by, the baby's getting a little bigger, and Chris has built up the courage to go knock on the door and tell Lacey that he would like an opportunity to get to know his son. He wants to see his son, and he believes that his first son should have rights to know his little brother, as well as Garnet getting to know his first son. But Lacey was not having it. She kind of slammed the door in his face, only before telling him that if he returned to her apartment or even came near her and Garnet, that she would call the police on him. And, you know, if you have children, you're not going to have this lady call the police on you when you have this child already who needs you. You know, obviously he was allowed to see his other son, so why would he ruin that whenever it just wouldn't make any sense. So anyway, moving on. She kept saying that he was bleeding from the ears and stuff. So, like I said, he ended up getting the tubes in his ears, but only after being diagnosed with a double ear infection and perforated eardrums. Does that sound familiar? Perforated eardrums, or what's the other word? Punctured eardrums or perforated eardrums with fresh blood in them. If you all watched part 1, or if you didn't, you may want to go back and watch that again. That was something I happened to mention in part 1. And the fact that John and Cameron and also another child had dealt with this under Lacey's care. I think it's time that CPS and doctors need to get together and do some talking, because by now Garnet's only, not even maybe a year old, and she's already had 2 or 3 reports on her saying that it looks like these children are victims of Munchausen by proxy. So who's failing these children? The hospital? The police? I'm not really sure. The parent? No, not the parents, because they trust Lacey. She seems to be a great mother. Now, Lacey couldn't have another doctor get suspicious about her, so she decided to go to a different ER and a different doctor, because she had already been to the ER and doctor that she was used to going to, so she decided to forfeit them for a different ER and doctor, where she would go and hopefully they would listen to her there and do the things that she was asking them to do. Now that she had the tubes put in, and she goes to get a second opinion. Now he's 2 months old in February. Actually, he is actually a year and 2 months old. Dr. Randall McClellan found that he had acid reflux and failure to thrive. So, in February, actually it doesn't have a year. At one place it actually had 2 different years, so I don't want to give you all an actual year. I want to say he was a year and 2 months old. He had acid reflux and failure to thrive. He looked very small for his age, so they gave him surgery preventing him from the possibility of ever vomiting ever again. Like, this was going to be a permanent surgery. He would never vomit again, and this is irreversible. It was basically where they would take and build a cup around his esophagus that would, like, push down anything he would ever try to regurgitate. It would go back down into his esophagus and back down into his stomach. So that's how that worked. I can't pronounce the name of the procedure, but now this was a very successful surgery at work. It did take away his gag reflex, but Lacey wasn't quite happy with this. She still, after seeing the feeding tube in his nose during the time they were performing the surgery, she thought, oh, what a great idea. We should get a feeding tube. What better way to control everything he eats and make her be able to put anything she wants in his body without him knowing or rejecting it, right? Not that he would reject it anyways, because, I mean, obviously if she's putting things down in his ears, which this is just, right now, this is my speculation that she's putting things down in his ears to bust his eardrums and stuff. I just don't see how several different children have the same exact thing wrong with bleeding ears. Like bleeding ears is just really, really weird, and ear infections are common, but not double ear infections with bleeding ears. Cheers. So, she goes to a third hospital, which, actually, she goes for a second trip, but it's after she's already had the surgery out of town, and she goes back to Decatur General. And there, the nurse was able to feed him with a bottle, no problem. Afterwards, he was airlifted to Children's Hospital of Alabama for having deadly high sodium levels. Now, if you don't know what that means, it means like sodium is salt. So this child has so much salt in his system that it's enough to kill him, and he can't vomit. He's literally having seizures. So Garnet stopped breathing en route to Children's Hospital of Alabama, and he almost lost his life. He flatlined, stopped breathing. The high sodium levels were going to kill him. Now, he made it there, and when he made it there, and they realized how serious his condition was, they agreed to go ahead and put in the feeding tube after Lacey begging. Like the real feeding tube, not through the nose. AKA gastronomy tube. So now Lacey would control everything he ate. And that's not a good thing if you ask me. He'd likely not taste food again until the G tube would be removed, if you ask me. If it was up to Lacey. Because, I don't know, I just think that she liked having control of that. I think that's part of the whole reason why she got the G-tube. And also because she didn't tell the people who gave him the surgery to put this in about his prior surgery where he had gotten his gag reflex blocked. So with the G-tube Mickey button and his gag reflex blocked, anything she put in his G-tube was stuck there. So had she made a mistake or given him the wrong doses of medicine or just what have you, there's just no telling. Anyways, I'm going to cut it off here, you guys. When we come back tomorrow, Lacey and Garnet will be taking a little trip. So, I love you guys very much. Thanks for watching, and I will see you all tomorrow. The rest of the Lacey and Garnet Spears story. Good night.